Let's play some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gooch Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gooch.
You are watching another episode of Gooch Live Overtime. I'll tell you what, if you haven't already heard, Habs win. Habs win. And I got to say, I didn't think that they would do it in 6. They're not going to. Well, I guess technically they could win it in 6, couldn't they? But what's unbelievable is today I was doing my Tim Hortons. And, you know, you got to pick players and stuff like that. So the first player I picked was Anderson. The second player I picked was, can't remember, another Montreal Canadian. And my third player was Pat Maroon. I won a coffee. What do you think about that? And not only did I win a coffee, but the Montreal Canadiens extended. Did they deserve it? I'm going to ask our 2 experts that are going to come up. First, Jordan, all the way from Montreal in a basement watching the game. He couldn't even get a ticket. I think it was $30,000. Jordan.
Hey, Gooch.
How's my producer guy coming on? Hey, the next guy that's coming up too, I think he's in a basement. So it's just unbelievable that what a Gooch Live, Gooch Productions, we hold no expense. And listen, really quickly before we bring our buddy up, because I want to talk to him about the goaltending situation, because Carey Price looked a little shaky at times, but then made saves that were just unbelievable. And I love this. Chris, all the way, you know Chris very well, all the way saying, what an effort, never give up. And it was said on the broadcast that the players, when Shea Weber was sitting in the penalty box, they were all thinking this: let's not let this end with him in the penalty box. He didn't deserve it. He played very well. Listen, it was a penalty, no question. It's got to be called. It's a 4-minuter. We know that. But I'm just going to say this, and I'm not a sore loser because Montreal won, and I'm not a sore winner because Tampa Bay lost. I just look at it rationally, and we had the commissioner of the NHL come on again and defend his referees. I got to say, the refereeing in this series, in these playoffs, have been so inconsistent. It's not so much that there were bad calls. There were some calls that weren't made. So I'm going to get that off right now. I don't want to say that with Paul coming up because he'll be doing the duking. All right, tell me really quickly before we bring Paul up for that, tell me what your thoughts are. Realistically, did Montreal deserve to take this win tonight?
It was tough. I mean, because you can't really fault Carey Price on either of those goals. Like the backhand feed from Ryan McDonough was like it was almost a blind pass. So it's tough to kind of look at that and kind of pin that on him. But the Habs played an incredible game from start to finish. I mean, taking the penalty at the very end of the game and managing to somehow battle through that. It shows a lot. It was a character win for the Canadiens, and Josh Anderson's goal in overtime was just nuts. I mean, be able to come back and get your own rebound like that. I mean, I don't have words for it.
Well, I can tell you what, John, your father and my wife, Tony, think exactly the same. When he was doing that interview at the beginning of the broadcast, Tony said, God, that looks like an older Jordan. So what? You and Pat Maroon could be brothers. Hey, listen, thank you for being in Montreal. Thank you for bringing this to us. It's fantastic. Obviously, there will be a game 5, which is exciting. It's going back to Tampa Bay. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll do a show and bring it all together. But now we have Paul Rosie, all the way in wherever you are. There's Rosie.
I'm in Gravenhurst right now in a basement at Susan's house, and Brady Levo sitting right beside me. Came up to hang with him for a couple of days. But he's he gets through my ears, so he can't hear you. He's beside me. But
all right, well, you say hello to Brady.
I will. He'll be on the Rosen Report tomorrow at 4:00. There he is. There.
Hey, Brady.
Hey, Brady. How are you, buddy?
He'll be on the Rosen Report tomorrow at 4:00, and we'll break the game down. You know what? I agree with you on the refs. I cannot stand the refereeing. It's just absolutely brutal. But I'm so glad that Montreal won it and won it in time. And Shea Weber, who has played his heart out, did not have the goat horns for being in the box. Listen, it's a high stick. You get the 4 minutes. But, you know, some fans, they would probably blame him happy that it didn't happen that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you're with Brady tomorrow, make sure you ask him that question, what his thoughts are, obviously, on refereeing. We won't steal the show about that. Honestly, it could have ruined that was the most entertaining game, I say, in this series so far. And the never give up attitude and the not quit in the Montreal Canadiens. Listen, when they took that 4-minute penalty, even I kind of, I just thought, you know what? Everything's been thrown at the Montreal Canadiens. They're this team that's so resilient. Jordan, I want you to answer this first. Can you think of another team that's been this resilient in the last, let's say, 5 years, where the world's against them? Obviously, last year, we know what transpired, and then of course the change of the referee, of the coaching staff, a guy getting COVID. It's just been absolutely bizarre. Can you think of another team? And I'll ask you that same question, Rosie.
I think you got to go back to St. Louis. I mean, I think it was in January when they were last place in the league, and when they called up Jordan Binnington, then they just won that absolute run with him, and a lot of that was on his back, but the team kind of rallied around him, and we kind of see that with the playoffs too. Carey Price has come in and stolen the show. He's been he's probably the best player on the ice. He's probably my MVP for the playoffs as well. So just kind of that same kind of relationship those two teams have with their goaltender. It's really cool to see, especially for me.
So, Paul, you don't need to answer that because you're right. I knew you'd go to the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
But answer this, if you don't mind me answering this. Sam Trapolino tapes the game. It's always delayed. He doesn't come on our show at all until he actually sees the goal winning, because he'll get on and he'll find out that overtime and won it and you didn't see the winning goal. But this is a really good point, and I want to ask you this about Carey Price. Carey Price looked tired. I would say, not tonight, but he looked tired. He's played a lot of hockey, and not only has he played a lot of hockey, but every game mattered. Every game he had to be there. And you as a goaltender, Jordan, you would know that, but for you, Paul, you've been in these high-pressure situations. He's tired. Did that 2-day break give Carey Price and the Montreal Canadiens a little bit of a leg up where they could rest and kind of get their batteries recharged?
I think 100%. I think the extra day's rest for a guy like Carey Price, who has been playing his heart and soul out. Yeah, he didn't have a good game last game, but he played great tonight. And I honestly agree with you, Jordan. I think that if he plays well in Game 5, even if they lose, he still might get the Conn Smythe. Probably going to go to Braden Point, but if he plays really well and they lose a close game in overtime, Game 5, I might give it to Price, because Montreal is nowhere near where they are now without him. He just stood on his head.
Hey, listen, Jordan, I know you have a buddy in the room that I think it's Jonas, if I'm not mistaken.
Jonah.
Yeah. I know he's a big Montreal Canadian fan. He's the one that got you in. Is he there? Tell him to give us a little wave. Is he out?
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
All right. Hey, listen, we just saw our good buddy Brady with Paul, so I just want to say hi, Jonah. Thank you for allowing our buddy to be live in the Bell Center. Again, tonight, you being a Montreal Canadian, give us one quick statement. Do you think the Montreal Canadiens can actually come back? Nobody gave them a chance again tonight. I think I said 4-2 with an empty netter. Paul, I can't recall what your score. I think, Jordan, you said 3-1, if I'm not mistaken.
I said 2-1.
2-1. What did it end up?
Well, it's pretty tough. I'll be honest. I mean, look, it's a thrill. I've actually lost my voice because I was yelling at the TV too much tonight, and especially Friday night, we were going pretty crazy. But You know what? Anything's possible, especially with that type of goaltending in the playoffs, right? So all you need is a little bit of momentum to go your way. Next thing you know, you can steal another game. They bring it back to Montreal. Hopefully they increase the capacity in the Bell Center. And from there on in, who knows what happens, right?
All right. Well, Jonah, thank you. Thank you for that. We're looking for you. We're praying that the Montreal Canadiens can bring it back from Tampa Bay and get into the Montreal for Game 6. And if you have any connections, I wouldn't mind going to the game. Hey, thanks,
for having me.
No worries. Hey, Paul, while you're there, too, I know that Brady's sitting right beside you. He's been in these action-packed games, probably in the Western Hockey League. I wanted to ask you this one. That the momentum swings. There were so many different momentum swings. Montreal goes up 1-0. We've all 1-0. We've all said it. If they give Carey Price a lead, then they make it 1-1. Then they go up 2-1, and then of course late in the game, Pat Maroon scores that tying goal. Then obviously the Weber going into the penalty box. Could you think that the double minor kill was really the momentum shift? Because they killed that penalty well. It didn't look like the Tampa Bay Lightning were playing with urgency, that killer. And you've got Kucherov, you've got Point. Point maybe a little bit hurt with that shot from Hedman. And then Stamkos. And every time they were shooting at it, I'll tell you what, Price was there to answer it. Talk to me about the momentum swing.
I think that was 100% it. They killed that penalty. It was a big 4-minute kill, 3 minutes into OT, and right there, their win back, and they've got a great penalty kill. They've done it all playoffs. I think once they killed that penalty and Weber got back on the ice again, they knew they could do it. And you can't count Montreal out. I had them losing to Toronto, they won. I had them losing to Winnipeg, they won. I had them losing to Vegas, they won. Then I cursed them, and I called them to win in 7. That's the only way they can win is in 7. I still think it is very, very long shot, but everybody's counted Montreal other than the Frenchmen. So I don't know. I would love them to win the Game 5.
Well, you know what? Game 4 is always the hardest. Not Game 4, but the fourth game in a 7-game series is always the hardest. Listen, Tampa Bay has the pedigree to do it, so we can't take anything for granted. Now, Montreal has got a little bit of a confidence boost. They got a momentum situation here. They're going down to Tampa Bay. It's a gift. Let's be honest. It's a gift. They got a tremendous penalty kill that allowed them to give them a chance to score the winner. Anderson, the change, and this is the final question for you both. The changes that Ducharme had to make. Not that I don't think there was any doubt he had to do something to shake the lineup. We saw at the tying goal, I think it was Kulak that made a pinch in a game with only a couple of minutes to go. I think there was 4 or 5 minutes to go with the 2 other defensemen sitting in the penalty box. He can't make that pinch. First to you, Rosie. You saw that, I'm sure, where he did the pinch at a time where it's crucial. Does he come back? Does he come back with any changes, or is he going to go with this team in game 5?
It's funny you said that, because Brady and I were talking about this, and even Susan weighed in on this, is that I think he comes back with the same exact lineup. It was a winning lineup, won the game, but Montreal had to get a whistle. They got 3 guys in the box, 2 of them defensemen. You only have 2 defensemen playing now. Get a whistle. 4 minutes of sitting in the box. Well, all you needed to get a whistle to get those guys back on the ice. I cannot believe somebody wasn't screaming at them to get a whistle. So I blame that on a little bit of stupidity. But the team plays exactly, in my opinion, same roster, same lineup, and give it a shot to win Game 5.
Well, Jordan, final part to you then is we had Caulfield, and obviously they took Toffoli off that line and put him obviously with Deneau, which that line looked very good. But Caulfield, Suzuki, and Anderson. Yes, Anderson got a nice goal to start it. And of course, he scores the winner off coming and not quitting, right? He went behind the net. He could have stopped, and not went back to the front of the net. He did a perfect move to the front of the net. The puck's right there, puts it in. Obviously, that move was a good move. Was it luck? Or is it something that maybe somebody had a feeling, listen, we got to get Toffoli, put him on with a couple of guys that can maybe bring his spirits up, because he just looks out a step behind Caulfield and Suzuki. And of course, Anderson looked right in place there.
Yeah, I saw this more as a move to get Anderson going, and they were the best line on the ice tonight, and you kind of saw it right from the first goal. When I believe it was Caulfield who drove the net, leaving an open lane for Anderson to get the puck in. So, it's always kind of risky making these changes, but it in the end, worked out perfectly for.
Paul, your thoughts on the changes? Obviously, they were playing.
You can't really argue against that. So I think, like Paul said,
Sorry, Jordan, you went in and out there.
I'm sorry.
So
I think we're having a bit of a
Jumping
connection
all
issue, but
That's all right. Hey, Paul, I'm going to
no
go to you,
worries.
Paul. I want to ask you this.
I lost my train of thought. I got it all out.
Jordan, wrap it up from Montreal. Do they come back to Montreal for Game 6? That'll be a yes.
Game 6 with Montreal, Game 7 in Tampa.
All right, good. All right, Jordan, thanks, buddy. Say hi to Jonah, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about the shows tomorrow. Okay. Always crazy when you're in somebody's basement. Well, you're with Brady, for God's sakes. Your connection's great. It's a long distance from Montreal. It's not quite as far up where you're at. Final thing to you, Paul, the goaltending course situation. Now, do you think that, Carey Price delivered? He was as good as you could ask from a goaltender. Now it's going to be, I believe, a goaltending duo. Now it's going to be the two goalies, Vasilevsky against Price. If Price can continue on playing the way he is, he's always giving the Montreal Canadiens a chance. And let's not take home ice advantage as an advantage. The Montreal Canadiens came home, lost the first game, won the second game. That's all they needed to do to stay in it. So I'm thinking that the advantage swings a little bit to the Montreal Canadiens because Tampa Bay now becomes under pressure. Yes, they've been there before, but the pressure does swing to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I haven't disagreed with you in a long time. I'll disagree on that one. There's no pressure on Tampa. They still have 3 more chances to win one game. Montreal cannot lose. They have to win all 3 games. So there's not pressure on Tampa. They go home, 20,000 crazy fans. They want to win it at home because they never won it at home last year. So and with a crowd. So I don't think there's any pressure on Tampa whatsoever. But I hope
All right.
I hope Montreal wins, but Tampa has no pressure.
Yeah, listen, we can agree to disagree, and I will disagree with you. I believe the pressure does go on Tampa Bay for the only simple reason is it's great to have fans, but you know how fans can turn on you. And do the reverse of that situation, that 4-minute penalty can change into a lot of pressure on you. And of course, they should have shut it down there. When you know it yourself, Paul, when you got a chance to shut the door, you got to shut the door, because when you open it, a team like this, a team that's got that never give up attitude, the world's against them, can do some strange things, and Montreal's doing it. Hey, Paul, say hi to Brady. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the Rosen Report at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go Habs, go.
See you, Gooch.
See you, buddy. Always a pleasure to have Paul on, and of course, getting Jonah on, with Jordan was extra special. They're really good friends, and they drove out to Montreal to watch the game, and they didn't see a victory. They saw a loss, but at least they could spend the time together in Montreal to see a victory. And I honestly think that the Montreal Canadiens, there's a swing, and this is a team you cannot count out. I was counting them out. I was yelling at my wife and the TV screen when Weber took the penalty. I said, this is over before overtime, and look at what happened. Anything can happen. All right, guys, I want to say thank you for joining us on Gooch Overtime. It was a little bit longer than we usually do. We will be back with you tomorrow at lunch. I know Jordan will be in a vehicle coming home, but I'll tell you what, join the Rosen Report at 4 p.m. This has all been brought to you by those good people at the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated. Good night.
You've been listening to Gooch Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gooch, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.